First contact in the wasteland. The aurora borealis painted ribbons of green and purple across the Arctic sky, casting an ethereal glow over the endless expanse of snow and ice. Sarah Mitchell adjusted her thermal visor, scanning the horizon as Shadow, her cybernetically enhanced timber wolf, prowled silently beside her. The wolf's metallic spine glinted in the ethereal light, a testament to humanity's desperate measures during the resource wars that had left much of Earth a frozen wasteland. 20 years of ranging the Arctic frontier had taught Sarah to read every shift in the wind, every subtle change in the environment. Tonight, something was different. Shadow felt it too, his augmented muscles tensing as he raised his head to sniff the bitter air. The first indication came as a low rumble that seemed to emanate from the very ground beneath their feet. Shadow's ears twitched, the neural indicators in his cybernetic implants flashing amber, a warning signal Sarah had never seen before. The rumble grew to a crescendo, and suddenly the northern lights above them distorted, twisting into impossible shapes as a massive object punched through the atmosphere. Down, Sarah commanded, dropping to her knees behind a ridge of ice as the object streaked overhead, trailing blue-white fire. Shadow pressed against her, his enhanced eyes tracking the trajectory of what she now recognized as some kind of vessel. It wasn't human. The design was too organic, too fluid, unlike anything their recovering civilization could produce. The crash impact shook the frozen ground, sending up a plume of snow and steam that mushroomed into the night sky. Sarah's thermal imaging system went haywire, overwhelmed by the heat signature. Shadow let out a low growl, but it wasn't his usual warning sound. There was something else in it. Curiosity, perhaps even concern. "Let's check it out, boy," Sarah whispered, unsure if she was making a terrible mistake. They moved forward cautiously, Sarah's particle rifle at the ready. The crash had carved a half-mile trench through the ice, ending in a smoking crater that glowed with an unsettling purple light. Shadow suddenly broke formation, bounding ahead despite Sarah's sharp command to heel. She cursed under her breath, following the wolf's tracks in the snow. As she reached the crater's edge, she found Shadow standing over a figure half buried in the snow, a figure that was decidedly not human. The alien was roughly humanoid, but its proportions were all wrong. Its limbs were too long, too graceful, and its skin had a translucent quality that reminded Sarah of deep-sea creatures. Most striking were its eyes. 3 of them, arranged in a triangle, each one shifting through colors like oil on water. The creature was clearly injured, purple fluid seeping from multiple wounds. Shadow stood over it, not in a threatening pose but a protective one. The wolf's behavior baffled Sarah. She had seen him tear apart raiders without hesitation. Yet here he was, guarding a wounded alien. The alien's eyes focused on Sarah, and suddenly her neural comm crackled to life with a voice that seemed to bypass her ears and speak directly to her mind. "Help, please. They're coming." Sarah's finger tightened on her rifle's trigger. 2 decades of surviving humanity's worst had taught her caution above all else. But Shadow looked back at her, and in his cybernetically enhanced eyes, she saw something that gave her pause. The wolf's judgment had never failed her before. A distant boom echoed across the wasteland, followed by another. Sarah's tactical display lit up with multiple contacts entering the atmosphere. The alien's eyes flickered with what she recognized as fear, and suddenly the choice was made for her. "Shadow, guard," she commanded, slinging her rifle and pulling out her medical kit. The wolf took up a defensive position as Sarah knelt beside the alien. "I don't know if human medical tech will work on you, but we've got to try. Those aren't friends of yours up there, are they?" The alien's response came as a mixture of words and images in her mind. "Hunters must not find the data." One of its hands, bearing too many joints, reached for a crystalline device, embedded in what Sarah assumed was its chest. More impacts shook the ground. Whatever was coming, they were running out of time. Shadow's neural indicators pulsed red. Immediate threat detected. Sarah made a quick decision, one that would either save lives or end them. Shadow, Pack Rescue Protocol. The wolf immediately moved to help her lift the alien. You're coming with us. Whatever's hunting you, whatever you're carrying, we'll figure it out in shelter. But we move now, or we all die here. As they retreated from the crash site, Sarah caught a glimpse of shapes descending from the clouds, sleek, predatory vessels that bore no resemblance to the elegant craft now burning in the crater. Shadow led them toward a hidden crevasse that served as one of their many bolt holes in the wasteland, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she had just entangled herself in something far bigger than survival in the frozen north. The alien's thoughts brushed against her mind once more as they moved through the darkness. Why help? Sarah thought of all the reasons she shouldn't. Decades of human suffering, the wars that had nearly ended their civilization, the natural suspicion of anything unknown. But in the end, her answer was simple, because Shadow trusts you. And that's good enough for me. Behind them, the hunters' ships began their search pattern, their lights cutting through the aurora-lit sky like angry stars. Whatever came next, Sarah knew their world had changed forever. The only question was whether that change would bring salvation or destruction, and how a ranger, a cybernetic wolf, and a wounded alien would tip that balance. Trust among the stars. Deep within the ice crevasse, Sarah's emergency shelter hummed with the soft blue glow of backup power cells. The alien lay on her medical cot, its translucent skin reflecting the light in mesmerizing patterns. Shadow hadn't left its side, his cybernetic implants pulsing steadily as he monitored their visitor's vital signs. Above them, the distant thrum of hunter ships still echoed through the ice. Sarah had activated the shelter's thermal dampeners, but she knew it was only a matter of time before their pursuers developed a more sophisticated search pattern. She needed answers. "All right," she said, checking the seal on the medical compress she'd applied to the alien's worst wound. "You're stable enough to talk. What's so important that they're willing to tear apart my sector to find you?" The alien's three eyes focused on her, and this time the telepathic communication came clearer, more structured. "I am Zara Ven, Keeper of Truths for the Meridian Collective." The alien's thoughts carried images of vast crystal cities suspended in space, of civilizations spanning galaxies. "What I carried is proof of a deception that threatens both our species." Shadow's ears perked up, and Sarah noticed the wolf's neural readings synchronizing with strange patterns emanating from Zara Ven's crystalline device. "My companion seems quite interested in whatever you're carrying," Sarah observed, hand instinctively moving to her rifle. "Your wolf." Zara Ven's thoughts rippled with fascination. "He is changed, enhanced, like many of your kind after the Great Freezing. But his modifications, they resonate with frequencies we thought unique to our own technology." Sarah froze. Shadow's cybernetic enhancements had been scavenged from pre-war military installations, their true origins unknown. "What are you suggesting?" "The hunters above us serve the Archon Directorate. They claim humanity is too primitive, too violent to join the galactic community. But the truth in this crystal," Zara Ven touched the device in their chest, "proves that humans were deliberately sabotage. Your resource wars, your frozen world, it was engineered." The revelation hit Sarah like a physical blow. Shadow growled, not at the alien but at something unseen, his enhanced senses detecting a change in the vibrations above. They were running out of time. "The Directorate seeded your world with technology, seemingly lost in ancient ruins and military bases," Zara Ven continued. "They watched how you would use it, hoping you would destroy yourselves. But you survived, adapted. Your wolf's cybernetics are proof. You took their weapons and turned them into tools of preservation." Shadow suddenly stood, his neural indicators flashing urgent patterns. Sarah recognized the warning. Motion at the crevasse entrance. "We've got company," she whispered, moving to the shelter's defense console. The external cameras showed armed figures in sleek environmental suits, their designs clearly non-human. "They cannot obtain this evidence." Zara Ven's thoughts carried an edge of desperation. "The Meridian Collective must know the truth, or the Directorate will do to other worlds what they did to yours." Sarah watched as Shadow positioned himself between the alien and the shelter entrance, his loyalty seemingly extended to their unexpected guest. The wolf's behavior sparked a memory. Stories her grandmother had told of the first cybernetic animal programs, of unexpected side effects that the scientists never fully understood. "Your wolf," Zaraven observed. "He senses the resonance patterns. The Directorate didn't just give you technology. They seeded your world with fragments of their consciousness, embedded in the very machines you salvage. Your companion is more connected to the galactic community than even they intended." A cutting torch flared at the shelter's main door. Sarah made a quick decision, grabbing her emergency pack and the shelter's portable power core. Shadow, defensive pattern Sigma. The wolf's implants hummed as combat protocols activated. "There's a maintenance shaft that leads to the surface, but it's going to be a hard climb. Can you move?" Zaraven rose unsteadily, but with determination. "The hunters will not expect us to go up. Their arrogance blinds them to human ingenuity." "Save the compliments for when we're clear," Sarah replied, inputting the self-destruct sequence for the shelter. "Shadow, take point. Watch for thermal signatures above." As they entered the maintenance shaft, Sarah heard the shelter door finally give way. The hunter team would find only an empty room and a countdown to detonation. The shaft was narrow, barely wide enough for them to climb single file, with Shadow leading and Sarah bringing up the rear. "Your wolf," Zaraven communicated as they climbed. "He was meant to be a weapon. But you made him a guardian instead. Perhaps that is why the Directorate fears humanity so much. You transform their tools of destruction into instruments of protection." Sarah thought about her years with Shadow, about all the times his enhanced abilities had been used to save lives rather than take them. "Maybe that's the evidence the galaxy really needs to see," she replied. "Not just what was done to us, but what we chose to do about it." Above them, Shadow had reached the surface exit. His neural patterns showed no immediate threats, but the hunter ships still prowled the night sky. They would have to time their emergence perfectly. "If we make it through this," Sarah said, "I want to know everything. About the Directorate, about what really happened to Earth. No more manipulation from the shadows." Zaraven's three eyes shimmered with what might have been hope. "Perhaps that is why I was guided here, to this place, to you and your transformed guardian. The truth cannot stay buried in ice forever." Shadow's alert pattern changed, a window of opportunity approaching. As they prepared to emerge into the frozen night, Sarah realized that her world had grown infinitely larger and more complex in the space of a few hours. But with that complexity came hope. Hope that humanity's long isolation might finally be ending, not with an invasion, but with an alliance born in the depths of the wasteland. The hunt begins. The Arctic wind howled across the tundra as Sarah, Shadow, and Zaraven made their way through a maze of ice formations. The explosion of the shelter had bought them time, but the hunter ships still circled overhead like hungry predators, their search patterns growing tighter with each pass. Shadow moved ahead, his cybernetic enhancements allowing him to map safe passages through the treacherous terrain. The wolf's neural patterns had changed since their encounter with Zaraven, becoming more complex, as if awakening to frequencies that had always been present but dormant. "The tracking protocols are evolving," Zaraven communicated, their three eyes scanning the star-filled sky. "The Directorate's hunters are accessing orbital networks they seeded in your atmosphere decades ago. Soon, they will have full-spectrum coverage." Sarah checked her rifle's charge, the weapon's display flickering with unusual patterns. "My gear's been acting strange since we met. Something about your presence is affecting our tech." "The resonance patterns," Zaraven explained, moving with increasing strength as their wounds slowly healed. "Your salvage technology recognizes its true origins. The Directorate thought they were leaguing broken pieces of their civilization, but humanity's adaptations created something new, something they never anticipated." A high-pitched whine cut through the air, and Shadow's neural indicators flashed urgent warnings. Sarah recognized the sound drone scouts, smaller and faster than the hunter ships. Down, she commanded, pulling Zara Ven behind a ridge of ice as Shadow took up a defensive position. The drones swept overhead, their scanning beams cutting through the darkness. Sarah's heart pounded as one passed directly above their position, but its sensors seemed confused by the ice formations. After what felt like an eternity, the drones moved on. "They're not just looking for me," Zara Ven communicated, their thoughts tinged with revelation. "They're searching for active resonance patterns, your wolf's cybernetics, your adapted technology. They fear what humanity has done with their discarded tools." Shadow suddenly tensed, his ears swiveling toward the east. Through their neural link, Sarah received images of movement, of figures approaching through the storm. Not hunters this time, human figures. "Scavengers," Sarah whispered. They must have detected the shelter's explosion. She knew the type, survivors who prowled the wasteland looking for salvage, many of them enhanced with their own recovered technology. The scavengers emerged from the swirling snow, a dozen figures in patchwork environmental suits, their bodies augmented with a mix of human and alien tech. Their leader stepped forward, neural interfaces glowing beneath translucent skin that marked them as heavily modified. "Ranger Mitchell," the leader's voice crackled through external speakers. "Long way from your patrol route." Their augmented eyes fixed on Zara Ven. "Interesting company you're keeping." "Walk away, Kane," Sarah warned, recognizing the notorious scavenger chief. "This is bigger than salvage rights." Kane's laugh was metallic, distorted by their modifications. "Oh, I know exactly what this is. The stars are falling, Ranger. The ones who left us their treasures are finally coming back." They spread their arms, revealing weapons that hummed with familiar energy signatures. "And we mean to greet them properly." Shadow growled, but his neural patterns showed confusion. The scavenger's technology was resonating with the same frequencies as Zara Ven's crystal, creating a discordant symphony of competing signals. "They've adapted more than we knew," Zara Ven communicated privately to Sarah. "Some of them have achieved partial integration with Directorate systems, but it's unstable, dangerous." As if to prove the point, arcs of energy began to crackle around the scavengers' augmentations, their salvaged tech reacting to the alien presence. Kane's expression shifted from confidence to concern as their own enhancements began to pulse erratically. The resonance cascade. Zara Ven's thoughts carried urgent warning. "Their unauthorized modifications are destabilizing. We need tow." The night exploded into chaos. The scavengers' augmentations overloaded in a chain reaction of energy discharges, sending them into panic. Above, the hunter ships detected the power surge, their searchlights converging on the position. And through it all, Shadow's neural patterns began broadcasting on frequencies that seemed to reach beyond Earth itself. "Run," Sarah commanded, firing her rifle at the ice above the scavengers, triggering an avalanche that would cover their escape. They fled into the storm as hunter ships and drones descended, their sensors confused by the cascade of competing energy signatures. As they ran, Sarah noticed her rifle's display showing the same complex patterns she'd seen in Shadow's neural readings. Every piece of technology they carried seemed to be awakening, remembering its true nature. "The resonance is spreading," Zara Ven communicated. "The Directorate's greatest fear is being realized. Humanity isn't just using their technology, they're transforming it into something new. Something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy." Shadow led them toward a network of caves he'd mapped in their ranging days, but his movements were different now, guided by more than just program knowledge. The wolf seemed to be following a signal, leading them to something hidden deep in the ice. "Your companion," Zara Ven observed as they entered the cave system. "He's not just detecting the old signals, he's creating new ones. The Directorate never understood what they were leaving behind. Your species bond with its machines, your ability to forge partnerships rather than master-slave relationships. It's created a new form of technology they can't control." The caves deepened, and Shadow's neural patterns aligned with strange readings emanating from the walls themselves. They were heading toward something something that had been waiting in the ice for a very long time. "We're not running anymore," Sarah realized, watching as patterns of light began to shimmer through the ancient ice. "We're being called." Above them, the hunter ships continued their search, unaware that their quarry was about to discover something that would change everything. In the depths of the Earth's frozen wasteland, humanity's adaptation of alien technology was about to reveal its true purpose, and the Directorate's carefully laid plans were about to unravel completely. Sacrifice and survival. The ice caves thrummed with ancient power, patterns of light pulsing through crystalline walls that were far too regular to be natural. Shadow led them deeper, his cybernetic implants resonating with frequencies that made Sarah's salvaged tech vibrate in sympathy. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit echoed through the tunnels, both the heavy footfalls of hunter teams and the erratic movements of surviving scavengers. "This place," Zara Ven communicated, their three eyes wide with recognition. "It's a nexus point, one of many the Directorate seeded across Earth during their first survey. But something's different. The patterns have been changed." Sarah watched as Shadow approached a wall that seemed to ripple at his presence. The wolf's neural patterns synchronized with the flowing light, and suddenly the cave wall dissolved, revealing a vast chamber beyond. What they saw inside made even Zara Ven's thoughts stutter with shock. The chamber was filled with technology, but not the broken remnants they'd been salvaging for decades. This was something else, a fusion of Directorate designs and human adaptation. Cybernetic interfaces similar to Shadow's were interconnected with crystalline structures that resembled Zara Ven's data storage. But the integration was seamless, organic, as if the two technologies had grown together. "Impossible," Zara Ven's thoughts whispered. The isolation protocols should have prevented any meaningful synthesis. Unless they turned their shifting gaze to Shadow. "Your wolf wasn't just enhanced with our technology. He's been communicating with it, teaching it, all these years." A blast rocked the tunnel behind them. The hunters were getting closer, and Sarah could hear Kane's scavengers engaged in a firefight with them. "What exactly are we looking at here?" "Hope," Zara Ven replied. "Your people found our abandoned technology, and instead of simply using it, you formed relationships with it. Through bonds like the one you share with Shadow, you've created a new form of technological evolution, one that could break the Directorate's control over countless worlds." Shadow padded to the center of the chamber, where a column of light rose from the floor. His neural patterns aligned with its rhythm, and suddenly the entire chamber hummed to life. Holographic displays materialized, showing maps of similar installations across Earth, all of them pulsing with the same hybrid energy. "They're all connected," Sarah realized. "Everything we salvage, everything we adapted. It's been learning, growing, creating a network we never knew existed." The chamber shuddered as another explosion rocked the tunnels. The hunters were breaching the outer defenses, and the scavengers' chaotic energy signatures were growing closer. They were about to be caught between two forces, each dangerous in their own way. Zara Ven moved to one of the interfaces, their hands dancing over controls that responded to their touch. "The evidence in my crystal. It wasn't just about the Directorate's manipulation of Earth. It was about the potential they saw in humanity, the potential they feared. Your ability to form true partnerships with artificial systems, to elevate technology through emotional bonds rather than mere programming." "Down," Sarah shouted as energy fires sprayed into the chamber. A hunter team had broken through, their sleek armor reflecting the chamber's shifting lights. Behind them, Kane's scavengers pressed forward, their unstable modifications creating interference patterns that made the chamber's systems fluctuate wildly. Shadow launched into action, his enhanced muscles carrying him into the hunter's ranks with precise fury. Sarah lay down covering fire, but she noticed something strange. Her rifle was adapting, its energy signature changing to match the chamber's frequencies. "The synthesis is accelerating," Zara Ven communicated urgently. "The presence of both Directorate hunters and human adaptations is catalyzing a reaction. The network is awakening, But if we don't stabilize it? A scavenger's overloading implants detonated, sending cascading energy waves through the chamber. The hybrid technology responded, power surging through the systems in dangerous patterns. Sarah saw Shadow falter, his neural implants overwhelmed by the competing signals. The wolf. Zaraven's thoughts carried desperate urgency. His connection to both worlds. He can stabilize the network, but the power transfer might. Sarah understood the unspoken warning. Shadow was the bridge between human adaptation and alien technology, the living proof that partnership was stronger than dominance. To save the network, to preserve the evidence that could change the galaxy's future, he would have to channel energies far beyond his design specifications. Shadow, Sarah whispered, their years of trust and partnership flowing through their neural link. Guard. The wolf's eyes met hers, filled with an intelligence that went far beyond programming. He bounded to the central column, his cybernetic systems aligning with the surging energies. The chamber's light focused on him. And for a moment, everything else seemed to fade away. Hunters and scavengers alike stopped their fighting, transfixed by the sight of Shadow, becoming a conduit for something greater than any of them. Through their neural link, Sarah felt his determination, his unwavering loyalty not just to her, but to the potential of what humans and machines could accomplish together. As Shadow's consciousness expanded through the network, Sarah realized that this was more than a discovery. It was a transformation. The question was whether her oldest friend would survive being the catalyst for change that could reshape humanity's place among the stars. The chamber blazed with light, and the future hung in the balance, waiting to be born from the union of trust, technology, and sacrifice. A new dawn. Light cascaded through the ancient chamber as Shadow's consciousness thread through the awakening network. Sarah fought to maintain their neural link, feeling her companion's essence expanding far beyond the confines of his physical form. The hybrid technology pulsed with newfound harmony, directorate design, and human adaptation, finally achieving true synthesis. The hunters stood frozen, their weapons lowered, as waves of information washed over their neural interfaces. Through Shadow's connection, they were witnessing something unprecedented, the emergence of a new form of technological evolution, born from humanity's capacity for emotional bonds with artificial systems. The network is stabilizing. Zaraven communicated, their thoughts tinged with awe. Your wolf, he's not just bridging the systems, he's transforming them. The Directorate's control protocols are being rewritten by the very emotional connections they dismissed as primitive. Even Kane's scavengers had stopped their assault, their salvaged implants resonating with the changed frequencies. Sarah watched as their erratic modifications began to stabilize, guided by the new patterns Shadow was establishing throughout the network. This is what they feared, Zaraven continued. Not that humanity would destroy their technology, but that you would change it into something beyond their control, something that could only exist through trust and partnership. The chamber's crystalline walls now displayed images from across the planet, other hidden installations awakening, responding to Shadow's call. Each nexus point showed similar signs of synthesis, where human adaptation had unconsciously prepared the way for this moment. But Sarah could feel Shadow's strength failing. The strain of channeling such vast energies was overwhelming his systems. Through their neural link, she sensed his determination, his unwillingness to let go until the transformation was complete. There has to be a way to save him, Sarah insisted, her voice cracking with emotion. She turned to Zaraven. Your crystal. You said it contains proof of what the Directorate did to Earth. Could it help? The alien's three eyes shifted through spectrums of color as they considered. The crystal contains more than just evidence. It holds templates of original Directorate code, pure and uncorrupted. If we integrate it into the network now. A hunter commander stepped forward, removing their helmet to reveal features similar to Zaraven's. The Directorate was wrong, they announced, their voice carrying both shame and wonder. We were sent to prevent this evolution. But witnessing it, they extended a device from their armor. Take our core matrix. Together with the crystal, It might provide enough stability. Sarah looked at the hunter commander with surprise, but she sensed no deception. The network's awakening had shown them the truth, that technology shaped by love and trust was more powerful than any weapon. Zaraven moved quickly, interfacing their crystal with the hunter's core matrix. Together, they approached the column of light, where Shadow's consciousness still held the network in balance. The wolf's physical form was barely visible now, transformed into pure energy. Shadow, Sarah called through their neural link. One last time, boy. Guard us all. The crystal and matrix merged with the energy field, their pure code providing the framework that Shadow's emotional resonance had been missing. The chamber filled with blinding light, and for a moment, Sarah felt her companion's consciousness touch, not just her mind, but every adapted piece of technology on Earth. When the light faded, Shadow lay at the base of the column, changed, but alive. His cybernetic components had evolved, taking on an organic quality that merged seamlessly with his natural form. As he rose and padded to Sarah's side, she felt their neural link transform into something deeper, a true synthesis of human, animal, and machine. The network is secure, Zaraven announced, their thoughts reaching everyone in the chamber. And it's more than we could have imagined. The Directorate sought to test humanity's worthiness for the galactic community. Instead, you've shown us a new path forward. The Hunter Commander nodded. We will return to the Directorate with new orders, not to isolate Earth, but to learn from it. Your bonds with your machines, your ability to elevate technology through emotional connection. This is what the galaxy needs. Kane stepped forward, their once unstable modifications now humming with harmonious energy. All these years scavenging, trying to master alien tech through force. We never understood. It was always about partnership. Sarah knelt beside Shadow, feeling the new depth of their connection. Through him, she could sense the network spreading across Earth, bringing stability and purpose to countless abandoned pieces of alien technology. But more importantly, she felt his unwavering loyalty, his joy, his love. Proof that the strongest bridges between worlds are built on trust. What happens now? She asked, looking between Zaraven and the Hunter Commander. Now, Zaraven replied, Earth takes its place among the stars. Not as a primitive world to be uplifted, but as teachers of a truth the Directorate forgot. That true advancement comes not from domination of technology, but from partnership with it. Shadow's neural patterns pulsed with new energy, broadcasting a message that needed no translation. They were ready to show the galaxy what humanity and their machine partners could accomplish together. Ready to prove that love and trust could transform not just technology, but the very future of civilization. As the Arctic sun rose outside the ancient chamber, its light seemed different somehow. Warmer, full of promise. Humanity's long isolation was ending, not with conquest or submission, but with a gift to the galaxy. The proof that the greatest power lies not in the technology we create, but in the bonds we forge with it. Shadow stood at Sarah's side, his evolved form a living testament to that truth, ready to guard not just his human partner, but the dawn of a new age among the stars.